Oh, what? Okay. Bunto's the last day baked before quitting spleef hangout. Can the devil cast himself out? Says Jeebus. Hello, all. Our subject, I guess we're going to kick it off. We have Sokka and with Lindsay Liu. We're going to talk about what is a nominal Christian. So, please continue your thought, Hates.
No, I was just saying that I liked Sokka's post that he made earlier about G-Men.
Oh, yeah. Tell us all about Sokka.
Oh, it's this constant calling people out that he has there. But it's like so right now he's going through this process of calling out Matt Dillahunty, and you see him here on his YouTube channel, and he's just like these Matt Dillahunty's afraid, he's afraid of
Right.
little old me and all this other stuff, and
Right.
I just put out there. I'm just like, I don't think Matt is afraid to debate you. I don't think he even knows or cares who you are. Let's be
Right.
honest. Matt is a recognized public speaker that tours all over the country, gets paid to speak about this topic, and you are a semi-literate internet loudmouth. Why would Matt give you the time of day? The only thing that you and Matt have in common is you are both great motivators in moving people towards atheism.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, no, it was kind of fun. I'm sure that comment will be
What,
erased
what,
off his
what,
feed soon enough.
what is it called? I think it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. I think it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, I think the G-Man really has that. Like, just to think that someone would kind of, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's like this, but it would be kind of like, someone like me calling out William Lane Craig, and being like,
yeah.
I want to challenge you to a debate. I mean, maybe on not on that scale, but it definitely is kind of,
What, what
uh,
what it is like me sitting here and being like just like, man, I'll fight Mike Tyson. I'll fight Mike Tyson any day of the week. I'll fight Mike Tyson. Fuck Mike Tyson. I'll take him on right now. Anybody that's watching this right now, get a hold of Mike Tyson. Tell me that I will challenge him right now to a fucking fight. And
yeah,
then 2 weeks later, when I haven't heard anything back, bam! Obviously, Mike Tyson is afraid of little old me.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Mike Tyson's a pussy because he doesn't want to fight me. Doesn't want to fight my socks. Whatever.
It's like pro wrestling, except atheism, theism.
Yeah, kind of. But anyway, back onto topic.
Well, I mean, you did bring up a good point. I mean, it's sort of like there's an art form to Christianity rather than theology, but you tend to treat the theology as more important, right, Asaka?
Yeah, I mean, like,
More substantial than just the art form of being a Christian. G-Man's wrestling type Christianity, pro wrestling.
the thing is that when it's such a weird situation when people label themselves as Christians or ask the question of what is a true Christian or anything like that. I mean, the easy answer is the true Christian is Jesus. He was the true Christian. That is the life that every single Christian tries to emulate, but we can't because in Scripture everybody's sinful. The best thing that you can do is try to recognize your sins, repent for them, and try to be a better person because of that. I guess. So I guess as long as you're following the teachings of Christ, you recognize that you're a sinner, but Jesus did die for your sins.
Well, okay. Well, let me
That
ask you.
like I mean that's like just the most basic dogma of what would
Right.
take you to become a Christian. Now the problem is like when you ask a Christian what is a Christian, they'll spelt that stuff off to you, but then they'll go as far to say that also, by the way, Roman Catholics aren't Christians. If you're talking about to some of the fundamental crowd in the G plus here, even though they fit within all the criteria of what makes a Christian.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Okay. I mean, you have studied and know how the mechanics of Christianity is supposed to work. I'll give you that much, right? I mean, you just explained it right now. But just looking from the outside, Sokka, how does Christianity really work? I mean, even though you described all the theology to it, but
Like,
how does Christianity work?
can I just quickly say something as well? I
Go ahead.
think, I think, I don't know if you'd call it this, but I think what you're saying is called, I'm pretty sure, a religious atheist, and it might sound a bit like an oxymoron, but it's basically an atheist that practices religion. But of course they don't believe in any gods, but they still sort of practice it. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know if that's it, but yeah. Sorry, go on.
Well, I mean, okay, Sokka, just how does it work? Despite the theology, how does Christianity work? Is it
Well, it doesn't.
a
But
team sport? I mean, it's really a team sport, right? You want to get people into the gang. That's the most important thing about Christianity.
no, I wouldn't even say that. Is that people pay lip service a certain part of it. Like proselytizing is a huge thing in Christianity compared to religions like Hinduism, where they have, no requirement to do that stuff at all. So I don't think that people necessarily, really care too much about saving souls as much as that they feel like they're required to.
Are they glad that they're in the gang? Is
Yeah, I
that
mean, this is where you get the different sects of Christianity that fight, have their little infighting. I mean, like I remember I brought it up once with Veckel that the way that he describes Christianity with the elect and stuff, and that with the different sects of Christianity didn't believe necessarily the same thing that he did, or the people that didn't believe in at all. Um, they try to make heaven less about this place for salvation for everybody, and more about this, elite VIP room at a fucking nightclub.
all right? Okay. How abhorrent is it to people like Veckel and G-Man, very liberal theology? Is it just because it's so inclusive? Is that why they hate it? Because I think they base everything on atheism hatred, which is just an extension of liberal theology. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I don't think Veckel is much. I know if you want to bring up like G-Man, he's explained it before that the purpose of his entire channel, is to expose the lies of the end times. So it puts him in a position where he feels like he is in direct conflict with atheists all the time because, hey, we are, one of the mechanics in his belief of the oncoming of Revelation.
All right. Well, okay, let's bring it back to the ground. Okay, let me ask you this. Why are these religions or beliefs still around today? I mean, why have they lasted so long, these 1,000-year-old conceptions that the world's going to end tomorrow? You know what I mean? Why is that still in man's mind? Why haven't they gotten past that?
Well, I mean, for the sense of the Armageddon and the end of the world, I think that's just based off of scripture. I think the basic question there would be, why do people still believe that scripture is true?
Okay,
I I
okay,
would
go
I
ahead,
would
Sean.
answer that, like, from my past when I was a Christian, I believed in like the rapture and the whole tribulation and all that stuff. And part of the reason that it was so easy to accept that that was true was because I wanted it to be. Because I think, like everybody, we're all kind of bored with our daily
Okay,
lives, right? We're
true.
just bored. So to think that something that crazy could actually happen is just, it's exciting.
So it's escapism.
I think so. There was that was for me anyway. There was definitely an element to that for sure.
So what do you think, Sokka? Escapism is a big part of that belief? Our lives are kind of boring, so religion adds a bit of escapism.
I wouldn't say that it's just because our life is boring. I'd say that it's because um, people like to think that there is a greater purpose. When somebody talks about that, okay, well, from an atheist worldview, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but from an atheist worldview, what is the meaning of life? What is your point? What is your purpose? And they, you could answer anything there, and then it's like, oh, well, that's just subjective to yourself. The Yeah, but that doesn't take away the meaning of life. It doesn't take away like the meaning that you assign to life. If the fact that the universe is this grand, huge thing and couldn't give two fucks about your existence or not, it seems to really bother them. So they have to think that there is a purpose, that there is a goal, that there's something that has to happen, to make this worthwhile, without actually looking at life and making it worthwhile.
Well,
Yeah,
okay.
and I agree with that. And I think that is part of that element that I had of just wanting there to be something else. That
I have a few theories or for why it's still around today or it's lasted so long. I think when most of these sort of religions have quite a very kind of harsh sort of ultimatum of either sort of eternal hell or heaven,
Reward
and
punishment.
yeah, and so. when you have such a horrible kind of punishment, I think parents or people would be extremely sort of adamant about passing on their beliefs and not necessarily indoctrinating their children, but yeah, I definitely think that's something that would happen. I mean, I think it's the same reason why some social norms continue do you know what I mean? Like, they continue because it's just basically society. You know, if the majority of society is religious, it's going to stay that way for quite a while, and it's not going to exactly die out over the course of a century. It can definitely die down, but yeah.
Well, okay, this thing came to mind, and just I'll bounce it off all of you. Let's suppose we were all in a comparative religions class, okay? And the professor said, I want each of you to come up with your own religion. And there was two finalists, okay? Somebody made a very purposeful religion, that made sense about the human condition. And then somebody made the wildest fucking fantasy Harry Potter type religion. You know what I mean? I mean, just complete
so what you're saying is
Star Wars religion.
Somebody created Mormonism and somebody created Christianity?
Well, I guess you could say it that way, but let's say, and then he awarded it to the person who had the biggest expression, the wildest imagination. The winner, because he said, I tested it against, a gymnasium full of 100 people, and they loved the wildness of the religion. I mean, what does that lend you to believe about the escapism more so than the purpose?
But I think it only works. You have to have a reasonable amount of believability.
Okay.
You have to.
A plausibility. You want
Yeah,
some plausibility in the religion.
Well, there has to be. Yeah. Well, there just has to be, because people aren't going to believe anything. As much as it seems that, no, but right, but I mean, they will believe anything, but only if you frame it the right way, right? That's the thing. It's not so much about what you're saying; it's about how you present it.
If it strikes a chord in believers.
Yeah.
What do you think, Sokka? There needs to be some amount of plausibility to your religion.
I don't think so. I mean, depends. I mean, the apologetics that can go into it are absolutely amazing. You can justify just about anything.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, the apologetics are the thing that make it plausible, right? So you have to have something to make people buy it, right?
I mean, it's just.
Well, okay, the religion cannot be complete alien logic. It has to have something there that strikes a tone with the believers.
Well, it all depends on. You got to leave it open to interpretation, is I think what it means.
Right.
If you leave it vague enough that you can interpret it in whatever way you want, then it's going to connect with people as they read it.
As they read into it.
Yeah, I had a conversation with one person once I'm remembering that he brought this up, is that if Revelation wasn't true, the book of Revelation wasn't true, then how come it has F-22 Raptors in it? and I was just like, well, wait a second, what do you mean it has F-22 Raptors in it? And so he brings up a verse in Revelation that talks about a six-winged beast,
right?
And says, if that is not the description for an F-22 Raptor, I don't know what is. And it's like, well, hold on. Where do you get this from? But I mean, that's the point. Is that you leave it vague enough that people interpret it, they grab their own meanings from it, and then now it connects with them. There's a reason why the characteristics of God matches the characteristics of the person that believes in that God. It's not a coincidence.
Well, yeah, and I think really Sokka nailed it when he used the word vague, because that helps so much.
Well, haven't you guys ever had the experience of watching a movie and then it strikes your imagination and then you can figure out the sequels and stuff? I mean, like when I watched Clive Barker's Nightbreed, I just knew that was such a great basis for a bunch of movies. You know what I mean? So in a way you could say Revelation is it's just like a basis. It is a great crescendo to the Bible.
I mean, I don't know if it's a very good comparison, but it's the same reason why sometimes reading a book is more entertaining than watching the movie, because you can sort of imagine what it's going to be like, whereas the movie is more sort of definitive, I don't know if that's that's a good comparison or not, but yeah.
I think it is, because it can be as simple as when you watch a movie, you don't like, the looks of the lead character, right? So you're not in love with him like you might be in the book, because in the book he looks exactly how you'd want them to be.
Yeah.
Is there any benefit to treating religion like a movie, something to build on? I mean, isn't that its staying power that we can imagine things into the religion?
Again, this comes from the interpretation. As time changes, as society changes, interpretations from within the book will change as well.
Well, okay, is Christianity better than Hinduism and Buddhism? That you can put more imagination to it.
I think that there are differences in terms of which religions are better. I think you have to look at the core teachings of it.
In some ways, Christianity isn't one religion anymore because it
Right.
varies so much from one to another.
I think in imagination it blows away Judaism. What do you think? Or am I wrong? Or is Judaism just as good as Christianity as far as wildness?
Well, I think I don't know if this is true or not, but I don't know if there's any religion that has so many different denominations other than sort of Christianity. I mean, I actually have to look that up.
Well, no, it is true. Even Hinduism, which has been around for evidently longer than Christianity or Judaism, actually has less sects than Christianity. But there are still a lot of sects. The thing with Hinduism that I've seen before is that the sects there they vary very greatly compared to the different sects of Christianity.
Why do you think that is?
I think just because it's a polytheistic religion.
Yes, that's what jumped in my mind. Monotheism blew it away.
Yeah, because in Hinduism you can choose what god that you might choose to pray to, and it gives you that freedom to do that. But it's still
it dilutes the whole thing. I mean, we have a central figure, Jesus. So, and in Hinduism, it's just diluted with too many gods.
Yeah, so some will think of Lord Brahma as the father archetype type god, and others will not see Brahma in that position and that the gods are equal. Some will see them as aspects of Brahma. Some will say for separate entities of Brahma. It varies.
That's why Hinduism has a large caste system. India is very, very, very caste-like. There's separate groups, and it's all based on religion. Religion creeps into the socio-economic status of your citizenship, and Christianity does that, but not as much as like Hinduism, just to the amount of gods that they have. It just creates more division. Like that's the only effect of that religion can have on the socio-economic status of them,
Interesting. Okay, so does Christianity...
With Jesus, dude, like the Christian countries like us, how many castes do we have, really? We kind of have like 2 or 3, maybe, And you look at Hindus, and they've got piles, dude. They've got there's dozens of caste systems that they have.
Yes, I wouldn't doubt that. Truly. Okay, let me ask you guys this: does Christianity blow away Islam as far as imagination, or is there just as much there in Islam?
I think that both religions, not from a standpoint of saying which religion is better or which religion that I would follow, but say from a standpoint of which one has more validity to it, they're equal. I don't see how...
Well, I'm talking more color than...
Yeah, like made-up stories.
I don't know much about Islam, but I mean, some of the descriptions of your death are just unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're pretty similar though, to be honest. They're both based on the Abrahamic God. So I mean, I'm pretty sure they both had the flood and sort of stories like that, and Jonah and the whale and.
Well, isn't their Antichrist a lot more descriptive? They actually got a picture.
Islam has got at least on hell and Antichrist and evil has got Christianity beat, and I think he's just talking about descriptively, what tells a more visual tale that has more imagination to it, not just straight, this is God and obey me, which tells the story better.
I wonder if they have a movie about Islam. We have a bunch of Bible movies.
But you can't put Muhammad in an image, right? So
yeah, that's
it's
right.
It's called The Messenger, and it's about Muhammad.
Hi, Lindsay. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a drag. I wish those guys would get over that so we could,
There's actually not all of Islam believes that either. There's I forget the sect, but a good number of them have always portrayed
There's not there's not even a consensus among Islam sects that the depiction of Muhammad is necessarily a blasphemy.
It's a Mohammedanism. Sorry.
It's taken from, I can't remember if it's actually from the Quran itself or one of the Hadiths, so that they frown upon images of Muhammad because they don't want to create a situation where people are worshiping idols.
Idolatry. Doesn't that fly in the face of the media? I mean, the media message. It's like those guys had no conception of media, how it works, how communication works.
Well, it seemed to work well anyway.
Well, I guess you could say that, Lucy. That's a faster growing religion, isn't it?
But at the time, it grew fast too. And then it took a big halt when they. I think it was in Turkey or somewhere. They lost a battle, but it grew really fast across Asia and everything. So.
The thing is, those guys don't
even in Britain as well. Yeah, in Britain as well. It's growing
very fast. Back in Muhammad's day, the first spread of it.
Don't worry, the media is wrecking Islam, so lots of people are leaving it now.
Really? Well,
see, that's again.
I don't know about that.
I mean, when people say that they're leaving it, it's really hard to say. I think that there's kind of an overplay on how much religion is shrinking. I don't think that it's shrinking at a huge rate.
Okay, what do you guys think is the most exciting religion today?
Scientology.
Really?
No, come on.
Oh, absolutely.
Why is that exciting?
Scientology is so weird. I agree.
Mormonism's crazy.
Well, Mormonism's out there too. I mean, I guess when you use exciting, I mean, I'm relating it to just like what you said, the crazy outlandish stuff, and I mean. Okay, Scientology. Let's put it this way: if religions were true, okay, let's say that there was a religion that is true, which one would be the fucking weirdest religion that would to actually be true? Scientology by far.
Really, because the Norse have a lot of weird stories too.
Norse would be great. I mean, if the Norse gods are real, I mean, if Valhalla was real, that would be pretty awesome. I'll agree with that. But just for kind of like a mind fuck. Could you imagine dying? And I mean, I don't even remember what the concept of life is.
Imagine if you signed a billion-year contracts and it was true.
Yeah. But could you imagine if actually discovering that Scientology was actually the true religion?
Well, you'd have to expand the age of the universe by 10
like 10-fold or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, the reason it's exciting is because it's weird with machines, audits. And there's hierarchy. Is that why you find it weird and appealing? Aliens?
I don't find it appealing. Like I said, exciting in the sense that it's so outlandish. It'll be like one of those who would have thought, type thing.
That doesn't involve. I think for entertainment value, definitely Scientology wins. They do not know how to do media, the whole anonymous thing was really compelling and.
Okay, somebody brought up Mormonism. Okay, Mormonism is quaint. A quaint religion. Is that its appeal? That's like a throwback religion.
I went to a Mormon church in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they were all dressed up like they were from the 1940s, 1950s. All the women had gowns, all the men had suits, but they were all older. It all looked from an entirely different time period.
Right.
They were talking about magical underwear, the whole 9 yards. If you read the Book of Mormon, it's absolutely crazy. It's not quaint. I guess it's quaint if you consider the typical American family of the 1950s as quaint, because that's the only. Right. And it was kind of like a creeper vibe going on when I went there. Everyone was really, really happy and social, but they had
was that in Utah?
No, this was in Massachusetts, but they all had a quaint, fake, colonial, weirdness to them. It's hard to explain, but it was yeah, it was crazy.
Okay, the thing they impress in Mormonism is definitely the gender binary, right? And it's a very Caucasian religion. It's like a purist religion.
Well, that's
When I went there, I went with a Puerto Rican male, and he was blonde hair, blue eyes. He was very different than most Puerto Rican males that were living around there. And there were no, there were all white people there. And they considered him white because he had white hair. He was white. He had blonde, was blonde and blue eyed and stuff. But I didn't see anyone outside of whiteness there at all.
I mean, we know that they didn't allow black people into the
to the church.
So, because the head of the church actually talks to God on a regular basis. True, literally, they do that. That's how they can change laws, right?
Right.
So, in '78, only in '78, they decided, okay, they can become clergy, but
okay. Well, let me go the other end of the spectrum to the Black National Muslims, the Nation of Islam. Okay. Would we characterize that religion as a reaction against white privilege, or is it actually something more to it? Is it black awareness?
Sorry, you're talking which one? Like the Black Hebrew Israelites, or what did you say?
Or the Nation of Islam, Farrakhan.
Yeah. I know absolutely nothing about them.
Can I add a little tidbit to the Nation of a little factoid?
Sure.
That Farrakhan has employed Scientology methods. It's a collaboration. There's a bunch of videos of Farrakhan promoting Scientology in order to expand the mind within his mosque or churches or whatever.
He saw something that he liked and lifted it.
Yeah. Well, no, it's active like Scientology. Unlike a lot of other things, you have to pay for their materials and stuff, but they have given Farrakhan the materials to spread in his congregation because they think it's a way to get in to the black community. But anyways, I think it's a little scary, a little weird, because I think it's totally weird that Farrakhan would give in, take in an almost 100% white thing for one thing. It's a weird combination, though.
We know almost nothing about it because we're really anglicized, right? I mean, it's a very urban.
But I also think they're not in the news much. You'd have to really think, I really want to find out what they're doing these days. You'd have to actively seek it out.
Okay, well, let's go another type of religion that's like that. Let's go the Moonies, the Unification Church.
Wow.
Okay. Is that like going towards, to Japan, going towards it's Korean, right?
Korean, yeah.
Is that like Christianity going out that way and being ingested by that sort of Eastern philosophy?
But Mooney is cult, though. I mean, it's one thing to say Christianity spreading, and they may adapt it to their Asian ways, but Mooney is separate. It's a cult. I mean,
it's a cult, mostly a cult.
Yeah, they have really cultish tactics, and they have a large membership, so that kind of is starting to make it less of a cult in definition, but they employ cultish tactics. Yeah, definitely.
Has anybody had any encounters with the Moonies here, except at airports?
I don't think I've ever seen a Moonie anywhere.
You've never seen a Moonie, Shar. They got them.
I know. I've seen them on TV. That's it.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, well, let's think of what other religions that are like,
Well, I did visit a church in Vietnam, the Cao Dai. I don't know if you've probably not heard of them because it's pretty small, but so they are a combination of a few different things. I'm gonna look it up. They what do they worship 3 different people, and they are bizarre because one of them is Jesus, and I'm trying to find it. One of them is Jesus. One of them is, where is it? Oh, I don't know. I can't find it now. Oh yeah. So they have a lot of well-known figures like Joan of Arc is worshipped. Muhammad, Moses, Louis Pasteur, Shakespeare, Lenin.
So which one is this one? What religion?
Cao Dai.
Cao Dai. How do you spell that?
Here, it's CAODAI.
That sounds like Vietnamese.
Yeah, it is. It's a Vietnamese. Yeah. Yeah, it's really weird, and I can't. And they also, they worship a lot of different people, but it's just this I don't know, mix of all these different religions that they just liked them and they said let's use that and that and
They
that.
worship these people as people, like they were great people, or John Lennon, are they risen to be?
I don't
A form
know
of
for
ancestor worship, like the Japanese.
sure.
Like,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but you're supposed to worship your ancestors, not your.
well, I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it, Lucia? Hey, I like John Lennon. Let me build a shrine
That's
to
not
him.
my ancestor, though. Ancestor worship is the worship of your own ancestors.
Oh, I know, but I mean, to make it better, it's like, well, my ancestors are boring. So John Lennon was so much cooler. I'd rather build a shrine to John Lennon.
Yeah, it's a weird. Like I got to go to one of the services and watch, and it's weird.
Louis Pasteur.
Yeah, no, it's weird because like it's very traditional. All the women are separated from the men, and then
gender binary.
and then and then everyone's got. You make this progression. Like there's these tiers, and like at the very top, at the very front of the church, there was only one guy kneeling, right? And then behind him there were two more. They were a different tier, and then you've got the masses at the back of the church, right? That are in the lowest tier. But it's bizarre. It's incredibly ritualistic and stuff.
Weird.
Well, okay. How about this, guys? For a basis of a religion, you have to have, like, can we base a religion on food?
Sure, we could.
How all the types of food?
Should.
Something interesting. You can base
Is veganism a religion? Would you consider veganism a religion?
sex.
Well, almost, maybe. It could be easily. The line could be crossed easily by some of these people.
Well, there's information that you get that you derive from books and whatnot. It's a lifestyle. It's a change in your lifestyle. That it's a significant change because most people don't just go vegetarian like.
They have dogma and doctrine.
When they first become vegetarians, there's a fever to it. Like they have to be labeled as a vegetarian, and then all other people. There's a shunning of people that aren't vegetarians at first.
Get blocked.
Yeah, I would consider that a religion.
I think that you need to be worship something though. I think something has to be worshipped, and there has to be doctrine that is followed. Or else you're not that.
Well, I see this actually comes up quite often in the question of whether atheism is a religion, or a question like that, and that no, I don't think that atheism is a religion. I don't think because it's not a particular system of faith that worships dogma and scriptures or any type of supernatural entity, or you don't believe in any type of controlling force of the universe. But then you get to the definition of religious. I think it's possible for people to be religious about things that aren't necessarily religion. So people can be religious about vegetarianism. People can be religious about Star Wars.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that Star Wars is a religion.
True.
So what's the issue? Is it the religion or is it the religiousness?
Well, actually, Jedi's are a religion in Australia. A registered religion.
and UK.
Oh, okay.
Well, fervor is a quality, right? In all of humanity, how much they are into it.
Yeah, no, I was just addressing the point that Lyrics brought up, that you can say that vegetarianism is a religion. I can say that vegetarians are religious in their following or their belief in vegetarianism, but somebody believing somebody having following something religiously does not automatically equate to that cause being a religion.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree with
This
that.
goes back to what I was talking about, how your belief system is directly correlated to like your self-worth and stuff like that. It's got nothing to do with what the book is or what the concept is, or if it's an idea, if it's an emotion, if it's a book. It doesn't matter like what it is. What matters is the behavior of worship, the placing out of your own self-worth, what you're supposed to feel about yourself, and putting it on a pedestal somewhere else, and then relying upon these books or this attitude or this way of feeling to give yourself worth. That's the way I see it.
Okay, so from So are you saying that the act of following anything religiously would be?
It takes like your self-worth. It takes your opinion of
Mhm.
yourself, and it makes it rely on outside things.
Wow.
What I
So
take like my
for,
self-worth, I base it upon what the choice I make in my interactions. And if I make the right thing, then I feel bad about myself and I realize it's a mistake and I move on. If I do the right thing, I think that is good. It's not necessarily the fact of like I'm worshiping this philosophy or worshiping this way of thinking or this action or anything like that. It's just that I have the process of choosing, and that is what directly affects my self-worth, not God or not vegetarianism or not this book that says this thing, but how I interact in the world.
Okay.
okay, I agree with that. I mean, yeah, like in in my early 20s, I religiously played a couple online video games before I got married and had kids and got a life. But that doesn't mean that the games I was playing was my religion, and the religious following that I did do that the religious kind of attitude where I was playing the game all the time or games definitely did impact more, other aspects of my life.
Okay. Do you have to be addicted to religion?
Yeah, I think so. I think this gets to the difference between a religion and religious again, is that there are people that religiously follow religion, and then there's other people that don't, and that's where you get the just like the basic casual Sunday morning Christians and like that's it, or the twice a year Christians
Right.
that they might recognize themselves as a Christian, follow all the beliefs and everything to a certain extent, but they're not religiously following it. It's not what defines them, compared to some of the people in like the G plus community here that are defined by their religion.
Yeah.
Good point. Yes, I was thinking the art form of religious belief, right? I mean, isn't it just expression that we're looking at? I mean, I know sure there's a lot of theology and self-worth that, one can't affix to religion, but it's also like what a person is expressing.
I think it's an expression of cultures.
Right, very much, Lucia.
And, uh, and I think unfortunately the individual gets lost in the in that expression of culture by choice or by just by its very nature. You're giving over to not only the higher power of the church, of the religion, but the higher powers of the church. And yeah, it is originally an expression of explaining the world. So, but these days, like I find the addiction to religion very interesting.
Okay, well, let's say that you grow up one way in a culture with several types of religion, and then you decide to go Buddhist, right? And the reason you go Buddhist is because you want to give up all your want. It's like a reaction to Western religion. Does that make sense? Anybody, has anybody here found Buddhism attractive? Just that it's
I've
so
done that before. I've done that.
Counterculture.
I tried to like take away the original sin aspect, and I tried to look at life in like a Buddhist way, where there kind of isn't a god. Like, I don't know. I guess it'd be more like a psychedelic Buddhist kind of type of mentality, and I got out of that because it was just as destructive as the original sin.
No, really?
Yeah. For me, it was. For me.
How? Well, maybe. I never heard of like Buddhism being destructive.
Like, did you meditate for hours?
Yes, it became religious and not religion, and I recognized the fact that I was becoming religious with the practices of it and stuff, and it was just moving the problem.
Wow, interesting.
Well, okay, a Buddhist, gives up all his stuff and goes around begging, and he sits down and he meditates all day. Well, that's what he does, right? I mean, the thing is, he wants to like
step away and goes around begging.
He wants to like totally give up the whole idea of bending reality that religion does, right? Or that everybody does. Everybody tries to bend the reality. A Buddhist just wants to play with the cards the way they're dealt to them. Do you people? I mean, can you see something admirable in that? When I look at Buddhism, I say, well, that's pretty admirable just to like go with it.
I mean, if it works for that person, I guess. Whatever. I don't know. It's admirable.
It's like a
If
total
you're not a
surrender.
hypocrite about any of it, then I think not being a hypocrite and in what you believe and how you live your life is admirable. Whether you
It's impossible for me to be a hypocrite with my beliefs. It's not impossible for me to be a hypocrite with my actions.
Interesting.
well, that's say one thing and do another. Like that's what.
Yeah, I mean, we all make mistakes and stuff like that, and I find that my beliefs don't coincide a lot of times because I don't have enough information to make them not beliefs, you know? So I just realize that my beliefs are my beliefs and my actions are my actions, and they're two different things, and if I don't separate them, then the religiousness comes again.
Okay, people here in the West always have to bend the reality, right? Have to fantasize and put on airs. But a Buddhist, that's it, man. He's just going to have an orange robe for the rest of his life and a bowl.
But not every Buddhist is a monk. You're talking about monks.
Okay, the Buddhist monk, yes.
Okay.
Well, but the monks, I mean, that's in some countries that everybody, like I think in Thailand, every male is a monk. I don't know if they're called monks, but like everybody practices for so many years of their life. That's just what everybody does. So it doesn't have to be like a lifetime of it. It can just be temporary.
Are there female Buddhist monks? I don't think
Yes.
so, right? Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah.
Where?
So they've
In
gotten
Thailand, I've seen them.
they've gotten rid of the gender binary. I mean,
It's mostly men, but I don't think there's a rule that women can't.
I know that in Cambodia, I saw, and this is not, I don't know the general rule, but I saw a documentary on a lady who, during the Khmer Rouge, was raped and so on.
Wow.
She became a monk after the Khmer Rouge left, because they killed a lot of monks too. But she became a monk.
Wow, cool. All right. Is it admirable to just go with the way the cards are dealt to you in reality? To completely surrender to reality and don't try to have any delusions about reality?
I don't know if it's admirable. I think it's admirable if you can pursue what you think is right and you do it. That's admirable. Whether giving up all your stuff and dealing with reality as it is in and of itself admirable. I mean, because anybody can deal with reality. You don't have to become a monk to do it.
First, you got to get your reality straight first, and I think a lot of people don't even have that right.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. I was going to say, in the Bible, Jesus says, okay, abandon everything and follow me, right? Wasn't that a little kind of like Eastern philosophy there?
Well, he said to hate your mother and father. If you love your mother and father more than me, then you or something. Learn a little further.
It's like drop everything you're doing and follow what I say.
That's not admirable.
I mean, it's that sort of mindset in religion.
But it's also
Totally
not.
surrender everything towards the external locus.
And it's not giving up. It's not dealing with the cards you're dealt. It's not dealing with reality. It's just following Jesus.
I'm pretty sure there were days when I was sitting in my cubicle, and if the weirdest looking dude had walked into the office and just said, drop everything and follow me, I might have gone. That's it. I quit my job. Because there were days when I just couldn't handle reality anymore.
It's way more, it's somewhere between that and the monks is way more, it's just normal, it's average. And, that we bend reality a little and we distort things just a little to make it grease the wheels of life is not unadmirable.
Okay, Shar, could we call that a reaction? What you would have done?
Yeah.
Not
probably.
So much. It's like these sort of what do you call mental concepts are all reactions. They're just not really well thought out. I mean, come on. All you're gonna do is have
You're
an orange robe.
You're talking to me. I think everything we do is a reaction. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Sure. I will, in a way, yeah.
Yeah.
I choose not to react to what you just said.
Okay.
But you chose to for a reason, so you're still reacting.
I know.
Okay, imagine this.
I'm in a
A bunch of
reaction.
guys sitting around for 10,000 years in an orange robe and a bowl, and they don't do anything. I mean, nothing advances.
That was the
They play baseball.
They do?
I've seen it. I've seen monks playing baseball.
Somebody has to invent baseball for them.
They swim. They go to tourist sites. They live.
No, it's amazing for them to just take a break for their entire lives and enjoy society in their confusion while everyone else has to just do what they have to do.
Oh, you know what? They had the coolest thing in I think it was Thailand. They had monk chat, where you could go to this temple, right? And they had monks that knew English and they wanted to learn more English, right? So they would sit down and just talk to you about whatever you wanted to talk about. I mean, I think that's cool. I think monks actually live a pretty interesting life. You know, they have the freedom to do these things, and
all right.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you support like a priest class in society? Do you think that that's a worthy thing?
No, not at all. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying the class of human. I think that the priest class does have a certain advantage to society. Maybe not the religions that it's based on, but those type of people definitely have a place in society.
I don't know that they're a priest class, though.
When you said that, I thought of D&D, like clerics. And then Paladin.
Oh, I just mean like the people that are in between us and God, the people that like to get in between us and God, like kind of caste.
That's not even how I see the monks, though, at all.
But I think that they are the priest class. It's just I think that the word class is throwing a negative light on it.
Maybe.
They're the or whatever.
I'm just using that word because I don't have any other one, you know.
Yeah, I can't think of a word. They are the monk class. Like, yeah, I can't think of a word. Caste, maybe?
Maybe.
No, caste is worse because that actually is a system based on tiers.
But I do think, like, it doesn't have to be higher or above other classes. It's just the class of monks.
Well, I found in my life that regardless of your belief system, that there's always some sort of enlightenment that people try to achieve, and regardless of beliefs, there are some people that know how to do this, you know, and understand the brain and understand how it works, and they're able to cast aside the driftwood of memories and all that, and they can function, you know.
I can see that through some religions there, but where do you find that in Christianity? This idea of like enlightenment, or like through meditation or something?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Maybe everyone's idea of enlightenment is different, but just the fact that they're trying to achieve something other than. I don't think Christianity is a good example because it installs a belief system and then gives you a means out of it. But I think that maybe ideas that are more based on open-mindedness, people at least, not necessarily the religions, but people that have that kind of mentality are beneficial to society.
Now, I mean, I might be talking on my ass here, which is entirely possible. Yeah, it does happen often. But like when you talk to like Buddhists or any type of religion that focuses heavily on the meditation aspect of it, it's almost a sense of inner peace, trying to connect with the spiritual world type thing, trying to bring yourself to God type thing. But I guess you could say prayer kind of does that for the Christian religion, but not to the same extent. I mean, when you compare guys that'll meditate for 2 weeks straight and fast just to get to that trip where they think that they're having a divine experience, compared to a Christian that just says, "Hey, everything around me is evidence of God, therefore I'm communing with God every moment of my life."
God.
It seems like a half-assed effort by comparison.
But a lot of Christianity is like sort of a half-assed effort of not taking responsibility.
Do you think that's just because Christianity is like the easy religion to follow?
I think it's so easy. I mean, I think that especially these fundings here, if you start to like with the slavery, if you start to think about it, then you can mess up your mind. It becomes difficult, but it's so easy to follow, and because especially about the Calvinists with their faith alone. I mean, if you have faith alone, you can go to. And some of them don't follow the Bible. Some say you have to follow the Bible, but it's easy. Most of them agree that by faith alone, I get into Jesus, and that is so easy. But yeah, and Catholics have confession, and yeah, I think it's really easy.
Well, let's think about speaking in tongues. Okay, that is didn't it come from the Dionysian cults, from the Bacchae? That's where Christians got a hold of that. It's a Hellenistic concept. the reason that they like don't really enforce meditation, like you brought up a good point, Sokka, where the guy fasts for 2 weeks, or like a vision quest. You know how like the American Indians do that, a vision quest, and why that is missing in Christianity is because it is just too complex for Christianity.
I don't think they want them to contemplate life because
that's exactly right, Lucia. They have no need for contemplation of that
it's
sort.
the next life that matters.
Exactly. It is the next life, not this life.
Sad.
Yeah, definitely speaking in tongues is, it's weird. I can still do it, but it doesn't.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, no, it's weird though, because it's definitely something you learn just from hearing it, right?
Right.
But then it doesn't. I guess for me anyway, like it wasn't something I could just do. I had to like be in the right sort of emotional state in order to do it. And then you get used to doing it, and now I can just do it anyway. But it is sort of like a form of meditation, and that's kind of what it is, right?
It's like saying, "Here is God."
Yeah.
I mean, if you just went to a church now and just bellowed it out, I mean, a fundamentalist church, let's go ahead and characterize it that way. I mean, you'd fit in. It's like saying, "Here is God." Even though you're a hard atheist, I'm sure now, but deconverted.
Yeah.
But isn't that interesting that that's the way it works? I mean,
actually,
I
was really late doing it. Like I was in my teens, like I don't know, mid-teens before I spoke in tongues, and they equate that to, if you speak in tongues, that is proof that you've been baptized in the Holy Spirit, and that means it's like confirmation that you are, you have the Spirit in you, sort of thing. And so I don't know, encouraged isn't the right word. It was worse than that. It was this pressure.
Coerced.
Yeah, I was pressured to do it. And because I was one of the last kids in my age group to do it, I got scared. Like I was scared, and honestly, it bothered me that I hadn't done it yet. And when it finally happened, it was such a relief, because it was like, okay, I'm a Christian. It's okay. I'm not going to hell. Like, but it's scary that way. I don't know.
Okay, you could go into any church, Christian fundamentalist church, and impersonate a Christian, Shar, successfully.
Yeah.
Okay, that is because you understand how it works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As long as I wasn't being honest, like.
Well, like, let's suppose all of a
sudden,
they said, we have a guest preacher today. Don't you think you could, if you had enough time, like maybe an hour or two, you could work up a sermon and, deliver it to the congregation?
I'd need a little bit of time to prepare, but yeah, I could probably pull it off.
Solely because you had the experience and know how it works.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, that just shows you that it's, how can I say it? It's like, it is an art form. It's an expressive art form, even more than theology. I don't see why people trip up so much over theology. This is art form. It's like playing in a band. Like if you're a guitarist, here, come up and jam with us tonight. That's essentially what Christianity is. Here in America.
Maybe. It depends. And I mean, I've been to different churches too. Like there certainly some churches are very much it's almost like watching a show. And then other ones are very much just sitting around and actually having somewhat intelligent conversations.
Like if you had to give a speech at Harvard Theological Seminary, of course you got to know your stuff.
Yeah.
But any church in America, I think types of churches. I would say fundamentalist Christian, evangelical. Walk in.
I've definitely been to sermons where, like 5 minutes into the sermon, the pastor just chucks his prepared sermon and just goes on a long rant. And just rants about something. And that happens all the time. And almost anybody could probably fake it. I went to see a comedian last night that I'm pretty sure he was very atheist, but he went on a big rant about like how people like are just sheep, like we're just following and nobody has their own life and no one thinks for themselves anymore. And I mean, that rant you could probably put in a church and everyone would follow
and everybody would
same thing. Like it's
amen
just,
at the end.
Sometimes it's just common sense rants. That's all it is. And people eat it up.
Is that religion? Just a common sense rant?
I don't know. No.
It's got to reinforce like.
Well, but the
ridiculous
religion of
social
it is
dynamics,
accepting. The religion would be accepting it without thinking about what you're hearing. There's that aspect. When you do it at church, you just trust that whatever is coming out of the mouth of your pastor is something you should believe. And that's religion.
A social statement.
Yeah, maybe.
In front of a bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you get an audience. Hey, you're guaranteed an audience every Sunday if you do this.
Yeah, that's exciting. It's much more interesting than going through, the...
Is anybody here interested in, like, completely diving into the art form of Christianity just for the sake of art form?
No.
Well, why not? I mean, just to see how far you could string it out, just how wild you could get it.
What do you mean by art form of Christianity?
Like like Shar says, you know all the trappings of how to be a Christian, and then you just go with it, and then you expand upon it. It's like, you're a guitar player, and then you get to play with a blues band, and then you get to lay down your own licks. You become like the Jimmy Page of Christianity, a riff king.
Those are the mega preachers on it, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what people here on YouTube do. They try to be like the most knowledgeable Christian,
Yeah.
Like, I know every Bible verse, but you don't. There's so much effort into seeking out the programming that they're not even processing it, dude. They're just the ego is just like, yes, please give me all these nice chunks of information, and then I'm not going to apply it to my life because I'm too busy in trying to seek what is already there.
Mm.
Okay, well, let's imagine this, guys. Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin is a riff king. I mean, that guy just comes up with guitar riffs. Don't you think? I mean, they're not like... Who really pays attention to the lyrics of a Led Zeppelin song? I mean, they're just like riffs. Incredible, awesome guitar riffs. Right? Isn't the mindset you need to take to Christianity? Just be a riff king?
I don't know.
Maybe for like YouTube Christians. I don't really interact with that many in my real life.
Okay,
so.
is G-Man trying to be a riff king?
I mean, he's a total riff king, bro, but he sucks. He's just like...
sucks, right?
He's just off time and out of whack all over the place, dude. He's got no idea what he's doing.
Those riffs are corny.
And insists on every single riff going for any type of guitar solo going for 20 minutes longer than it should.
Yeah, every guitar solo and exegesis it and hermeneutics and.
He's trying to be Stevie Ray, and he just ends up being like some schmuck on the corner,
No, he's still using the music book with the fingers on the fretboard.
See, he hasn't fine-tuned his muscles to be able to play the notes correctly. He just sees the notes. He doesn't get any muscle memory in his
sloppy.
He doesn't have any or he's.
That's what Jesus is about. It's supposed to be about muscle memory. It's supposed to be about about imprinting the spiritual memory, of the teachings into your life. But when you're just sitting there trying to get muscle memory on the guitar, when you're playing something really, really hard that you can't understand, and you just try to do it as sloppily as you possibly can, you got to start off with the basic stuff first, dude, and move it up a little bit and get your muscles so they're in tune and they can do it correctly and there's no problem. And then you move on to another thing. G-Man's just straight trying to be like, Joe Satriani when you can't play at all, dude.
He's really sloppy. Okay, well, sometimes sloppiness is like punk. In punk rock, there was if you could be artistically sloppy, like a Greg Ginn of Black Flag, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it's
so
really
G-Man the punk of Christianity? Is that what you're saying?
He could be if he went that way. If he didn't,
wait.
The thing about G-Man is he only has one tone.
Do not associate G-Man with punk rock like that.
All right. Well, the thing is, G-Man, his whole thing is hating atheism, right? I mean, that's the only way I see him. He's an atheist hater. He's not like a message. Am I wrong? I mean, all I see is him hating on atheists.
Really arrogant and self-involved and least self-aware person, and he hates atheists and thinks the Bible's true, and that's all he is. He's a fucking.
I don't know. I mean,
there's no artistic thing to him. I think you're trying to get an artistic bent into G-Man's thing, but there isn't. You can't put him into an artistic category.
Really? I wonder.
Is that No.
He's trying to build a house. He's trying to build a house. He has the plans, but he doesn't understand how the mechanics of it works.
Yeah. He doesn't understand you have to have a plan first. You have to have, and you have to treat all the parts really well before you put them together. He's not an artist.
He could know the correct temperature of the so like wood. If it's really cold, the water in it will condense and contract and blah blah blah.
Okay.
So he'll know the information. He'll know what correct wood to use in a specific region of the country, but he won't have any idea how to piece the whole fucking thing together. He'll know a little tidbit here and there, but that's kind of how it is with a lot of people. They know a little tidbits here and there, but they don't know how to construct a house.
Okay, of all those guys, who knows what he's doing? Who's like an artist?
Oh, who's that guy? He's got a beard. Oh, what's his name?
The Raw?
No. It's not one of the guys that we know. It's like that. I don't know.
Oh, is that guy
I
who?
don't know him.
I think I know what you're talking about. Okay, we're talking Christians, right?
And he's usually in the car and he's screaming at the camera all the time.
Oh no, I thought that other guy.
Oh,
He's
no,
like
I can't remember his name. But he's amazing. He's definitely an artist, and
he got skill. He got some mad skills.
Yeah, but I can't remember his name.
But what's his message?
No, it's basically like just anything. It's kind of like the same things that G-Man or any of those other guys say, but he does it just so well.
Stylistically.
It's an art, yeah, and he has so many followers.
Because someone that understands what they're talking about could use language use the smallest amount of language to get the most kind of effect out of it.
Is he like always sitting on God's shoulders? Is he was like, "Amen, brother," and that, or is he like all his own entity?
Oh, his name is Joshua Feuerstein.
Oh, fuck you! Oh my God, he's terrible. Oh my God,
no, don't listen.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yes, you could say he's an artist, but that's just like
but that's what I'm saying. Like it's an art with him.
That's so stupid. Oh my God.
Well, is he an Amen, brother, or is he like his own entity? Is he
you know what though? There was a video about his art, his way. A video from this Christian pastor, a really creationist, 6-day Earth. But head of a church in some bumfuck America. And he invited Josh Feuerstein to his church. You've seen him on Facebook, seen the following.
Right.
And he did a video about Josh Feuerstein staying at his house. He told him a fraud, and he gave some, the story. Okay, it's just anecdotal again, but he also been blocked by Josh Feuerstein. But because all he could talk about was how he's going to make the next buck, how, I'm going to make some coffee cups with Josh Feuerstein. I'm going to make these videos. And what do you think about that, Reverend? How can I make money that way? And he says that Josh Feuerstein is of the devil. So
well, there you go. No, and I totally buy that. I'm just saying that there are a lot of people that just love him, and he's got that down.
The cap backwards and sitting in the car, the fast talk, the shotgun talk, blah 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 blah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, just to ask, okay, like a preacher who's actually, interesting to us, is he always bringing up God, or is he like just his own singular interesting person? You know what I mean? Like if this guy was bringing up God every minute, then I'd say, well, he's using, God a lot. Is that this Feuerstein guy, or is he like
but I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure he's got ulterior motives. He likes the fame and everything.
Yeah. He's mostly on his stuff is on Facebook, and he's got this huge following. And about 6 months ago, he did this video on evolution, and he had all the tropes, all the same things, why they're monkeys and so on. But he does it in this I don't want to say hip, but like just this fast shotgun kind of talking, and he's young and.
But he's a real pure guy, or is he kind
of... No. What do you mean by pure, actually?
Well, like a holy roller, like somebody who I know would never smoke a cigarette or take a drink.
He would say he'd never smoke a cigarette or take a drink. That doesn't mean he wouldn't.
And he's not...
I love those guys. I love people like that. I'll never do anything like that, but, in private, they're pounding here.
Ted Haggard.
He looks like he does that. He looks like he's somebody... I mean... Yeah, he would say he never has, but he looks like somebody who has, and I think the combination of that somehow, most of the guys who say they never would look like they never would.
Yeah.
But Josh Feuerstein looks like he's, hip, and he's been around, and, he knows life, and
he enjoys the odd cheeseburger. Kind of.
Yeah.
Like, have you guys ever seen the hipster preachers? I've seen a few. They have tattoos all over their face.
Yeah.
They're up talking, with the nose ring and everything, talking about God.
They would get those guys to come to talk to our youth group all the time.
And the youth group.
Because youth groups love it, right? They love to see like a guy with tattoos and he looks badass and
Christian
he's a
for
Christian.
pay.
Yeah.
Christian for pay.
Reinforcing male stereotypes to make you fall in the line, pretty much.
Yeah.
Side hug.
All the boys in the church are like, look at that guy, he's a badass, we want to be just like him, and he's telling us all about these cool ideas about Jesus. They eat it up, dude. It's so basic, psychology crap. It's not even funny. I don't understand how people can't just figure it out,
Contrived. It's completely contrived.
The thing about some churches was the genius thing of the latest thing to get that hip and cool youth groups. I don't even youth group with my teenage Christian friends. It's like,
it's been a big thing in the 2000s. Like I've noticed, there's a lot of younger Christian groups, and they accept everyone now, and it doesn't. They accept gay people, any creed or sex or anything like that, and it's kind of like they have like a liberal mindset going on, but they still spout off all these ridiculous things. They're still brainwashed as hell. It's just they're more
they can't
accepting.
jump in all the way to liberalism. They have to take little baby steps towards
It's a liberal facade, I think. It's a liberal facade.
It's a way to use like a political system to. It's just using another facet of their mind to bring them into the group. If you're liberally minded, come on to this group, and we'll teach you the teachings.
I can understand it. Well, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and cap it now, but thank you all for participating in my Hangout. And, I invite our listeners to listen to the next one we got coming up. Thank you, Lucia. Thank you, Lyrics. And thank you, Shar. Have a good day. Take care.
Bye-bye.